Hi guys, Alexei Krivitsky here from Scrum Ukraine. Just to remind you, we are running a less or large scale Scrum Day Europe 2020 online conference, which happens 15-17 June. So please join if you're interested to hear about deep transformational stories of some great companies. But today I'd like to continue where I started last time. Last time we discussed dynamics of the product owners that have to deal with only a part of a product or a component. If you haven't seen the video yet, I will link it to the comments below this video. But today I would like to explore with you three different situations which I've been witnessing where product owners have to, or are just given only the part of the product to be managing. And I'd like to give you these three scenarios so that you are more prepared to better see them and spot them out when you actually see them in a real life. So let's dive in. Okay, so what we've discussed last time is that, well, if you have multiple backlogs and there are teams working under each backlog, these are teams, these are backlogs, and there are product owners sitting on top of these backlogs trying to optimize the work. That basically these backlogs will have different colors. It's just the essence of the previous video, right? Then if you combine all this together in one backlog, or rather in one backlog here, what you would typically see if you will create a large backlog that contains everything happens in the company, you would typically see that some work, let's say yellow work, currently is more important than any other work. And then there will be green pieces, and then there will be other pieces, and maybe red items will be just a little bit somewhere. So basically what happens in this organization where there's no single backlog is that there's only one team or maybe two teams at most, right, that are currently dealing with the most important part of what everybody should be working on. And these guys basically have their hair on fire because they need to do a lot of things. And other guys, and what do the other guys do? Well, the other guys work on something that is much less important in terms of the overall strategy. So if you have one single backlog, you would see that it actually can and should represent high level strategy of an organization. But if you have single backlogs, it's really hard to understand and hard to optimize and hard to be adaptive. A very typical scenario is the one which I actually showed before. That's the only one which is very much similar to what we discussed before. That when you have these vertical slices of products that are representing different parts of functionality. So if we were to build, a social network, that will be messaging, that will be actually social network functionality, finding people and stuff, and this will be some ads, right? So this is basically the only situation where you have these verticals, and it's probably not the worst case ever. But what typically happens is that, well, this is, say, historically a web application, everything. So all these components or verticals, they are actually not a product by itself. They together comprise a product that is available on the web. And then, for example, at some point, of course, you start thinking of mobile users. These days, probably now it's more common to do mobile first. But if you work in a company which has web legacy, if they're 5+ years old, they typically have lots of stuff on the web, and now they're catching up with mobile. So then you'll typically have another backlogs, one typically per app, per platform, right? Because as is now, we only have iOS and Android. Windows is no more, and for iPad and for iPhone, you basically build one single app that basically fits all the sizes. You typically have two different sub-products that people call, right? And so this will be an iOS application and this will be an Android, right? Now we have 5 backlogs. Now the question is, well, if this product owner who's responsible for networking, if she needs to have her feature available on web and iOS and Android, say across all channels. In fact, web, iOS and Android, they're not products, they're just channels. What is a product? It's a hard question, but in this case, basically everything is a product, and maybe even more than we can think of. Like ideally, because this is what customers are using, it what customers are buying. But if that product owner needs to implement her feature on network, what does she do? Typically, in a dysfunctional organization, she'll be able to control her backlog for web, and then she would create, I don't know, like a feature request, right, to iOS and a feature request to Android. And there are great tools like Jira that can help you to create these tickets. You can subscribe to them, you can watch them, you can see if people are really touching them. You can really do a lot of things that actually don't help much. Because what would really have helped her if she would control all the platforms, right? But that might not be the case. If it's the case, well done. If not, they'll be waiting and queuing, and typically iOS and Android will be way behind the web platform, or typically one platform will be having much more features than the others, and then you have this problem that users cannot typically easily switch from one device to another and continue their transaction. And the third case, so the first case is this one. You just have these verticals, which are not really product by itself, but they are sub-products. And then you have this dynamics that we discussed before, right? Second scenario is when you have this, what I call satellite products. Products satellites, typically mobile apps are these products that are built maybe even by a vendor, because historically you might not have mobile developers, and now you need to build quickly the app, so you outsource it to a vendor and they build it, and you have all this friction between your organization and their organization, and then the waiting times and everything and alignment even gets harder. The third scenario, you probably was wondering why I left a place behind this below. Well, the other scenario, and all of them are combinable, right, is that you have some sort of a platform that people call a platform, right? I'm sorry, I have to correct my spelling, and I'm not able to do it. Platform. And platform will have its own backlog and its own great platform product owner with a roadmap and vision for the platform. And then there will be some events and communities around the platform, and people will say, hey, platform is actually a product because it has its own roadmap, it's a product owner, but it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's a product, or you think it's a product because you assign a product owner to it. And now the product owner of the platform, of course, will have to prove his or her existence and say, yeah, it's a platform. So I had a funny situation where I was trying to help a company go from multiple backlogs to a single overall backlog. And then I was given a product owner to work with, to mentor her. And she got a task from her CTO to basically promote your platform as a product. And I was like, how can I coach you if I don't believe you should be doing what you're doing? How can I coach you out of your job? I'm sorry, it just doesn't work. So platform, where you typically have platforms, you typically have them in applications where there is a lot of complex core functionality. For example, gaming, there will be some authentication there, payments there, or gambling. Payments will be all there, and then on top you'll have these verticals as different games, right? In banking, you have this main hub or whatever you call it, which contains the main data transfer objects and whatnot. So which case is the hardest to actually glue? As I said in my last video, I am a coach, and I usually say, hey, I will help you guys and have a very useful tool in my bag. It's called Superglue. What I typically do, I go count all the backlogs you have and I will glue them together. And bam, you'll now will have one backlog. And everybody will see that, well, not everybody has been actually working on the most important stuff. And now we need to do something with that. So if you ask me which case is the hardest to glue, that will be platform. Platforms are something that want to live its own life, and they don't only have the product owner and a vision, but everybody else basically depend on them. So they are super important. They have SLA agreements to other teams. They don't have actually time to stop and rethink the way they work. They're always in a rush, in a firefighting mode. And of course, if you are in a rush, in a firefighting mode, there's no time to improve on your situation. So platforms are really hard nuts to crack. How will you do it if you would have time and put some system thinking into that? Well, you would eliminate those backlogs. I'm not saying eliminating people. No, please don't quote me this way. I'm saying eliminating backlogs and eliminating this local optimization that happens if you have multiple local backlogs. You basically put these guys into these teams, and now every basically vertical can build the stuff not only on the web but on all other channels. That's better. So now we have only 3 backlogs, and the next step would be actually to eliminate these guys and combine them into. Now my picture is really messy, but you guys know what I'm trying to prove, right? And then have this overall backlog, and then all the teams will be just, maybe I should use another color, or maybe I should just learn how to draw better. And all these teams now will be actually taking work from their backlog. And well, if network is the most important part, then it will be on the top of the backlog, and everybody needs to learn how to work on network. It's about learning how to work on the most important stuff. It's not necessarily the fastest way to do it now, but if network is the most important part, well, everybody needs to learn how to do it. What happens to product owners who have been initially assigned to these small backlogs? Well, it's a tough one, right? They need to find a way to continue adding value, and those people typically super greatly skilled. They have great business analysis skills, system analysis skills. They used to be developers, especially if they've been working on a component like a platform. They are typically engineers and they actually hate the job. So they would be actually happy to go back and give away all this bureaucracy and just have more time now to build what they love to build. So you would eliminate the platform at some point, and then this, now I pick another color which makes it even much more messy, or messier was the right word, messier. And basically this whole product will cover all the platforms, and also it will cover the platform. There still will be developers typically who have much more knowledge in the platform work than in the verticals, and they still typically stick around and they can form a community of platform. Actually, these two worlds can coexist. You can still have a platform team which is just doing platform, and you have these other teams who go actually vertical and learn how to work on a platform, and then these guys who are still platform guys, their job is to help everybody else. The wrong transformation is that those guys who still doing the platform, or who are doing only the platform, I've seen that happening. Well, this transformation happened, and now everybody is able to code also in the platform code, but only basically in a pull request manner. So eventually what will happen to those great guys who know really the platform? They will be full-time pull request reviewers and committers, and they would hate their job even worse. So their job should be to educate everybody and to educate everyone and to train everyone and to pair with everyone, so that everybody or not everybody, but at least every team can contribute to the platform without jeopardizing the quality. So typically those guys should travel across different teams, stay with them for a sprint or several sprints, pair program, mock program, do whatever it takes to share the knowledge. And this is not something you can do overnight, over a week, over a month. That's not something any coach can help you with. That's something you as an organization need to come to. Understand like your existing bottlenecks and create your vision for like how a company should look like in 5 years. Like if you can remove all the constraints, all the fake walls between us. And then if everybody believes in this great picture of the bright future, then you can start going there. And it's a long, beautiful journey where people will have to talk to each other, learn from each other, and eventually a company will get much more adaptive than it currently is. It was 17 minutes of my awful drawing, but hopefully it was useful. If not, I apologize. Next video will be even better than this one. Enjoy yourselves. Thank you so much. Wash your hands. Take care. Bye.